What does it take to bring down a criminal empire that's been flooding a country with drugs for years? Today, we're breaking down a massive headline from New Zealand. The arrest of the Comanchero Motorcycle Club national vice president, caught red-handed in a multi-million-dollar drug smuggling operation. This isn't just another arrest. It's the final nail in the coffin for one of the most feared gangs in the Pacific. Who is this shadowy figure? How did the police outsmart him? And what does this mean for the global war on drugs? On April 9, 2025, Auckland police made a move that rocked the criminal underworld, arresting a 36-year-old senior leader of the Comanchero Motorcycle Club in Howick, New Zealand. This wasn't a lucky break. It was the culmination of years of relentless investigation, taking down every single leader in the gang's hierarchy. To understand the weight of this moment, we need to unravel the Comancheros' rise to power, the details of this high-stakes bust, and its ripple effects on organized crime. Let's dive in. Who are the Comancheros? The Comanchero Motorcycle Club isn't just a group of bikers cruising the open road. They're a global criminal powerhouse that's been a thorn in the side of law enforcement for decades. To understand the seismic impact of their leader's arrest, we need to dive into who the Comancheros are and how they became one of the most feared outlaw motorcycle clubs in the world. Buckle up, because this is a wild ride through a dark underworld. Founded in Sydney, Australia in 1968, the Comancheros started as a small band of motorcycle enthusiasts, bonded by their love for bikes and a rebellious streak. But by the 1980s, they'd transformed into something far more sinister, a highly organized crime syndicate. Their early years were marked by violent turf wars, including a brutal 1984 clash with the Bandidos at Milperra, known as the Milperra Massacre, where 7 people died. This event cemented their reputation as a gang that plays hard and fights harder. Fast forward to the 2000s, and the Comancheros had evolved into a sophisticated criminal enterprise. They operate like a multinational corporation, with a strict hierarchy, think presidents, vice presidents, and enforcers, and a code of loyalty that's enforced with an iron fist. Their criminal portfolio is vast: drug trafficking, money laundering, extortion, and even arms dealing. Methamphetamine is their cash cow, but they've also been linked to cocaine, ecstasy, and cannabis smuggling. By the early 2010s, they'd expanded into New Zealand, setting up chapters in Auckland and beyond, exploiting the country's ports to funnel drugs into the Pacific. What makes the Comancheros so tough to crack? It's their structure. They're not just a gang, they're a machine. They've got logistics experts who coordinate drug shipments, accountants who launder millions through shell companies, and enforcers who keep everyone in line. In New Zealand, they've been linked to over $100 million in drug seizures since 2018, including a record-breaking 613-kilogram meth haul from Malaysia in 2022. That's enough meth to supply tens of thousands of users, devastating communities across the country. Their global reach is just as alarming. With ties to cartels in Mexico and Asia, the Comancheros are a key player in the international drug trade. In New Zealand, they've exploited lax border controls and corruptible insiders to smuggle drugs through ports like Tauranga and Auckland. Police have struggled to keep up, facing encrypted communications, burner phones, and a wall of silence from gang members. But as we'll see, law enforcement has been quietly building a case, and the arrest of their vice president is proof that even the Comancheros aren't untouchable. Segment 2: The arrest that shook the underworld. Let's fast forward to April 9, 2025. After years of investigation, Auckland police finally got their man, the national vice president of the Comanchero Motorcycle Club, a 36-year-old leader whose identity hasn't been fully disclosed due to New Zealand's strict name suppression laws. For now, we'll call him John Doe to respect those rules. This arrest wasn't a fluke. It was the result of 2 major drug busts that exposed the gang's operations at the port of Tauranga and beyond. Here's the wild part. This guy wasn't just any member. He was the last senior leader of the Comancheros who hadn't been charged. Police had already taken down nearly every other member of the gang's leadership in a series of raids over the past year. According to Assistant Commissioner Paul Basham, this arrest was a significant milestone after years of relentless work to disrupt the Comancheros' criminal activities. And trust me, the charges against this guy are no small potatoes. John Doe appeared in Auckland District Court on April 9th, facing charges of importing methamphetamine at the port of Tauranga in December 2024 and attempting to possess cocaine for supply earlier in 2025. But that's not all. He's also been charged with participating in an organized criminal group, a serious offense that carries heavy penalties in New Zealand. These charges stem from a joint investigation by the National Organized Crime Group and New Zealand Customs Service, which uncovered a jaw-dropping 200 kilograms of methamphetamine, smuggled through the port of Tauranga. To put that in perspective, 200 kilos of meth is worth about $30 million on the street. That's enough to supply thousands of users and cause untold harm in communities across New Zealand. The cocaine charges are just as serious, linked to an earlier importation attempt that police intercepted. The fact that this guy was allegedly orchestrating these massive drug shipments shows just how high up the food chain he was. Now, let's talk about how this all went down. The Port of Tauranga bust is straight out of a crime thriller. Back in December 2024, two men, both 28, were caught breaking into a shipping container at the port. They allegedly loaded 5 suitcases filled with meth into their car. But they didn't get far. Police and customs were already on their tail. A week later, 2 more men, aged 33 and 36, were arrested, including our main guy, John Doe. The police weren't messing around, they hit the Comancheros hard, and this was just one piece of a much larger puzzle. This wasn't the first time the Comancheros got caught slipping. In 2022, police busted a record-breaking 613-kilogram meth shipment from Malaysia, worth $100 million. One of the players in that bust, a guy named Bradley Temai Kohawijan, was a Comanchero associate who got deported from Australia after an arson conviction. These guys are no strangers to high-stakes crime, but they're also not invincible. The police have been closing in, and this latest arrest proves it. The bigger picture. So, why does this arrest matter beyond New Zealand? Well, the Comancheros aren't just a local problem. They're part of a global network of organized crime, with links to drug cartels in Mexico, Asia, and Australia. The drugs they smuggle, meth, cocaine, fentanyl, are fueling addiction and violence worldwide. By taking down a leader like John Doe, New Zealand police are sending a message. No one is untouchable, no matter how powerful your gang is. Let's talk impact. Assistant Commissioner Basham said this arrest has considerable impact on the Comancheros' ability to operate. With every leader now facing charges, the gang's command structure is in shambles. That means fewer drugs on the streets, less money in their pockets, and a weaker grip on the communities they've been exploiting. But it's not just about the Comancheros. This bust is part of a global crackdown on drug trafficking. Across the world, law enforcement is stepping up. In the US, the Justice Department recently charged leaders of the La Nueva Familia Michoacana cartel with importing fentanyl and other drugs. In Ecuador, the leader of Los Choneros, a gang linked to Mexico's Sinaloa cartel, was captured in an underground bunker. And in Mexico, authorities are hunting for El Mencho, the elusive boss of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. These aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a coordinated effort to choke off the global drug trade. Here's a crazy stat. According to a 2023 UN report, the global cocaine trade is booming, with production hitting record highs. Methamphetamine is just as bad, with seizures doubling in some regions. The Comancheros are a small but dangerous piece of this puzzle, and their arrests are a win for everyone fighting this battle. But there's a catch. Taking down one gang doesn't stop the demand for drugs. As long as there's a market, someone else will try to fill the void. That's the hard truth about the war on drugs. It's a game of whack-a-mole. Knock one group down and another pops up. But busts like this one show that persistence pays off. The Comancheros thought they could outsmart the police, but years of surveillance, wiretaps, and good old-fashioned detective work proved them wrong. So, what's next for the gang and for New Zealand? What happens next? With John Doe behind bars, the Comancheros are on their heels. But the legal process is just getting started. He's facing serious charges, importing meth, attempting to possess cocaine, and participating in an organized criminal group. In New Zealand, these crimes can carry sentences of 7 years or more, especially for someone at his level. The court case will likely drag on for months, with prosecutors building a watertight case based on years of evidence. But here's the thing. Taking down a gang like the Comancheros isn't just about arrests. It's about dismantling their network, seizing their assets, and stopping the flow of drugs. New Zealand police have already confiscated millions in cash, cars, and property linked to the gang. They're also working with international agencies to track down the suppliers feeding the Comancheros' pipeline. This is a long game, and they're playing to win. On the ground, communities are feeling the impact. Meth and cocaine addiction have torn families apart in New Zealand, and the Comancheros have been a big part of that problem. With their leadership in chaos, there's hope that addiction rates will drop and communities can start to heal. But it's not over yet. Other gangs, like the Mongrel Mob or Black Power, might try to muscle in on the Comancheros' territory, sparking new turf wars. So, what can we take away from this? First, law enforcement is getting smarter and more coordinated. Second, even the most powerful criminals can't hide forever. And third, the fight against drugs is far from over. This arrest is a huge win, but it's just one battle in a much bigger war. What do you think? Will the Comancheros bounce back, or is this the beginning of the end for them? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. The arrest of the Comanchero leader is a turning point in New Zealand's fight against organized crime. It's a reminder that no one is above the law, not even the most powerful players in the underworld. But it's also a call to action for all of us. If we want to stop the spread of drugs, we need to support our communities, fund addiction recovery programs, and keep the pressure on criminal networks. That's all for today's deep dive. If you found this video informative, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this story. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on stories like this one. Want to learn more about the global fight against drug cartels? Check out our playlist on organized crime. And let us know in the comments, what's the biggest crime story you want us to cover next? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.